Hey everybody, it's Richie from Boston. Oh, no, I'm not Richie from Boston. I'm no relation to Richie from Boston. I may sound like him. And I know I have a lot of the same ideas that he does. We believe in a lot of the same things, but no, I'm not no relation to Richie from Boston. I also follow him too, so for those of you that follow him also, I knew exactly who you was talking about when you asked me. But I want to say a few things about some comments. Yes, I've smoked cigarettes and probably been smoking longer than a lot of you have even been on this earth, which I started smoking when I was 13. I'm 56 years old. You do the math. I have a birth defect that's called Wolff-Parkinson's-White syndrome, and that has to do with my heart. If any of you want to research that and find out what that's about, have at it. But I go to a heart doctor twice a year. They put me on EKGs. They do all kind of tests with me, stress tests, everything. And my heart, other than the birth defect that I was born with, I've been through 3 surgeries, and they've tried to fix it. They can't. So I've got a heart problem, but it has nothing to do with cigarette smoking. Yes, it's probably fucked up my voice, make it sound raspy, but I've always had a deep voice. Even when I was in high school, I had a deep voice. People want to talk about my accent. Because of my southern accent, I can't be smart enough to know anything about thermodynamics or to know anything about any kind of history or any lies or conspiracy theories. I'm too dumb because I have a southern accent. Well, just so you guys all know, when my kids started graduating high school, my kids are in their 30s now. My oldest one's, I think, 35 or 36. My youngest one is 30. And my son is 33, 34, somewhere around that. But when they start graduating high school, I wanted them to go to college, and they looked at me and their mother. I had my own business at the time. I had a house painting business. My wife worked at Intel. We all lived out in Arizona, out in Mesa, Arizona. And I wanted them to go to college, and they basically looked at us and said, well, you and Mom never went, so why should we go? So at 38 years old, I went to college. I signed up for it. I went 5 nights a week, 5 hours a night for 3 years to get an AA degree. When I graduated from college, I had graduated with a 3.89, I think it was. I'd have to pull out my transcripts but it was either 8.9 or 9.8, one of the two. But I got straight A's, basically, a couple of B's, but mostly straight A's the whole 3 years I was in college. On top of it, I was still doing my business, my house painting business, working out in the sun, 118 degrees on the average during the summer out in Arizona. And I was going to school at 38 and going to college with a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. But I did it, and I graduated. So if you think because somebody has a southern accent that they're stupid, and one thing about that is I did do a paper on that while I was in school, because I got the same thing out of people when I was in college, that because I had a southern accent, I sounded stupid. And I did a whole paper on it where people think European accents sound like people are smart, which don't mean they know anything. It's just their accent. People from Boston that's got that Boston slang, they think those people are stupid. They think southern accents are stupid. People are stupid and stuff. You couldn't be more wrong. Couldn't be more wrong. An accent has nothing to do with your abilities to learn. I do a lot of research on all kinds of things. I started researching the hell out of the government after 9/11. because I was wrapped up in construction. I knew those buildings couldn't come down the way they did by two planes hitting them, especially building 6 and 7. So that's when I got started. I started finding out about a bunch of lies back then that the government was telling us. So then I started looking into the Constitution. Found out a bunch of more lies. Started looking into government, politics, and the laws of this country. Found out a bunch more lies. Started getting into the history of our country. Just about, the Civil War, the attack on Pearl Harbor, the JFK assassination. A lot of different kinds of history. How, the fact that there was 100 million Indians in on this continent that we call the United States of America, when Columbus supposedly landed on Plymouth Rock, or when Columbus supposedly discovered America, there was already 100 million Indians living here. So how can somebody discover a place that's already got 100 million people living in it? I started doing all this research and finding out all these lies that we've been lied about. Now, back then, I really didn't believe in God all that much. I kind of knew something, I kind of believed in a higher power. Didn't know what it was. I even believed in outer space. I believed in all these other planets, so I believed maybe aliens did have something to do with who we are today. But over the years since then, I've done so much research, and I don't believe that anymore. I've lost total belief in space whatsoever, let alone any other planets, let alone us even being on a planet, because you can't just add the word letter to the end of the word plane, and it goes from being flat to being a ball because you've added the word T, the letter T at the end of the word planet or plane, and now it's planet, and that means ball. It's all so ridiculous. I spent the last few years here studying law and jurisdictions, and and fighting a lot of tickets that I've gotten and won many of them. Yeah, I still lost some of them, because when you get in these courtrooms, cop's word over your word will stand. And I've even been told by one judge, I don't care how much evidence you bring in this courtroom, how much proof you have, if that officer that's standing on the other side there says you did something, you did it, period, plain and simple, no matter how much evidence you have that says you didn't. So that just shows you how corrupt this entire government is. Now, I had somebody that commented that he didn't think I was intelligent enough to know anything about thermodynamics. Now, I don't have to be or have a PhD in thermodynamics to know something about it. I've never told anybody I am an expert at anything, to be honest with you. I was an expert painter, a house painter, I guess you could say, and I was an expert truck driver. When I was driving a truck, I did it for 14 years, and I had a pretty clean record. But there are some things that I'm an expert at, but I don't claim any of it to be science or thermodynamics or the law or any of the stuff that I've researched. But this clown actually said he didn't think I was intelligent enough to know anything about thermodynamics. Well, there's only 4 laws in thermodynamics, and if you just take a little bit of time and research it, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand. And that's what I did. When I started hearing other people, if you want to call them flat earthers, whatever you want to call them, talking about thermodynamics, gas pressure up against a vacuum of space, if you start hearing people talking about that, well, I like to prove things to myself. And I go out here If I hear something, I don't just take somebody's word for it. I'll research it and find out for myself, and then I'll make my decision on it. Well, that's exactly how I do my research. If I hear something, all right. If I hear it more than once, all right, now I'm going to look into it. And then I'll research it for a while before I even start putting my own opinion out there about it. Because if somebody does question me, I want to be able to answer their question. This is what I do with my channel. I put a thought in your head, maybe. I'm not going to leave anything down under my videos, links to anything. I'm not going to do none of that. It's not my job to hold your hand and walk you through this. My job is to make you think, guide, and maybe tell you what I have found. It's your job to figure out if I'm telling the truth or not. If you want to believe me, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. Just don't subscribe to my channel. But I can promise you this, if I say something, I can guarantee you I've done some research on it. And if you do it, you're going to find probably the same stuff I've found. Because we're researching on the same thing, the same computer, the same internet, same shit. You're going to find the same shit I find. You're going to have to dig through the same stuff I dig through. And you're going to have to make a decision which side of it that you think the truth is. Because you will always find stuff that says what you're looking for is right. Some that says it's what you're looking for is wrong. So you're going to have to make your own decision on what the truth is. I personally, the reasons why I believe in God as much as I do, and there's many reasons, but I'll just give you a couple of them. One night, me and a buddy was up on a mountaintop. We'd four-wheeled our trucks up on this mountain. We sat up there and killed off a fifth of rum. This was years ago. His truck, we wasn't too for sure about. He just bought the damn thing. It was a 1970 Blazer, and it had big 37-inch tires on it, lifted up and everything. We bought it that way, but we never had a chance to check it out before he took it up on the mountain, and I told him not to take it up there that night. He just bought it that day, and we went up on that mountain, and he made it up fine, and he wanted me to drive it down because I'd been off-roading for years. I told him I wouldn't do it because I told him not to bring it up there. I'd drive my truck down. Well, when we started coming down at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, he wanted me to go off first. He was going to come in behind me. It was a steep mountain and curvy. And I told him, nope, you're not going to knock me off this mountain. If anything happens, you're not going to take me with you. So I made him go off in front of me. He went off first, and I came out behind him. Well, he didn't have enough brakes to hold him back going down the mountain. He started moving real fast, started bouncing real hard, and next thing I know, I lost all of his headlights, taillights. He was gone. Well, he went off the side of that fucking mountain, and his truck was scattered for at least a quarter of a mile to half a mile down the side of that mountain. Biggest piece of it was the damn engine compartment that was left in one piece. Well, I come around there with my high beams on, and I'm yelling his name out the window, and all I see is his arm come up for a second, and he's down on this ledge. Well, I climbed down there, threw him up over my shoulder, and carried him up out of there, and got him to the damn my house and called an ambulance. That boy, when he finally got to the hospital and they checked him out real good, didn't have a broken bone, didn't even have a scrape on him. Now, he had a bruise where he landed on that rock on his butt cheek, on his right butt cheek, and by the time it was over, that damn black bruise went from the middle of his back down to the back of his knee, and it was black. I mean black. Now, that boy was lucky that night. Somebody was watching out over him. He should have died. and he didn't. That was one of the first things. Then many years later, I got sick down in Tennessee. I was bleeding internally. In 9 months, I dropped 100 pounds. And they thought I had cancer. They checked for cancer. They thought they couldn't figure out where I was bleeding. I was anemic. My organs and everything were all getting to the point that they said they were going to start shutting down. I swallowed what they had back then was a little pill that was basically a camera. It wasn't a little pill. It was a pretty good-sized pill. But it was a camera, and I swallowed that thing, and it went all the way through my intestines, all the way through, out the other end. They couldn't find nowhere that I was bleeding. It took all kinds of photos and shit. They couldn't find nowhere I was bleeding. They basically told my wife, my kids, my mom, dad, everybody, he's dying, we don't know why. Well, my uncle is a preacher of a church, Church of Christ, down in Tennessee. Well, he got up in front of his congregation and got everybody to start praying for me. And within 2 weeks, I was basically healed. The doctors couldn't find nothing wrong with me. And I pulled out of it. I ain't never had to deal with it since. It went away, and nobody knows what was wrong with me or why. That was what turned me around. I also, at that time, I used to drink like a fish. And just like the song says, I drank enough to float a battleship. You can guarantee it. And it wasn't beer, it was liquor. I drank liquor. I didn't like beer. And I used to drink like a fish. When I came out of that, I had quit drinking. I used to do dope, smoke a lot of pot. I don't do any of that anymore. What I do now is I research shit. Spend a lot of time doing that when I'm not working or four-wheeling, messing with my Jeep. And, but those are just two of the reasons why I believe in God. Then I started reading the Bible, and the Bible's, you start reading the Bible and start proving the Bible to yourself. And everything I was reading in the Bible, it was coming, it was right out here in front of me, It told me that the moon and earth was inside the firmament. It told me that God separated the waters from above from the waters below. That's why I stopped believing. And when you start looking into the moon landings, all the videos and stuff is bullshit. All of it. There ain't a damn bit of it that they could say that lander landed in that spot it was sitting on with a jet blast, because there would have been a blast crater under it. All that dust that was underneath that lander would not have been there. It would have been blown into the atmosphere. There was so much bullshit about the moon landings that there wasn't no way I could believe that anymore. So if they didn't go to the moon, what else are they lying to us about? Well, you can't find much that they haven't lied to us about. Now, we all been brainwashed to believe everything they tell us, but there ain't much of it that's true. I'm going to cut this down right now because I'm already at 18 minutes, and most people won't watch a video this long. But that's just to give you a rundown about me. And I'm tired of, I'm not even going to answer these comments about my voice or about my intelligence, because if you don't believe what I say, just research it yourself and see what you find. Then come back and prove me wrong. How about that? Y'all have a good day out there, and may God bless us all, because we're going to need it. Good day.